Greetings, it's Vaygrim. Back with another Mod Guide episode. This time we're going to take a look at a newish mod, I would say. New for 1.7.10, at least. It wasn't around in 1.6.4. It's called Project E. It was originally developed by Mozintel, who has now passed it on to the current maintainer Sinkiller J. Sinkiller J is the current maintainer of Project E, and he's doing a bang-up job, but Mozintel did great work to start off. Well, basically the history of the mod itself is that Project E is a recoding, a complete redesign, well, a complete recreation from the ground up, totally new code and totally new artwork, of Equivalent Exchange 2, a mod that died off, I believe, back in 1.4.7. Equivalent Exchange 2 was a very popular and very big mod. It was also a very controversial mod. So this one is going to be equally controversial, if not more so nowadays. It might not fit your playstyle. You might discover that it's just not your thing. That's fine. Just remember, we need to keep the comments for this video civil and productive. If you start slinging slanderous comments or making nasty statements, you will get banned. Just remember. I'd like to keep things friendly, helpful, productive to those who might want to actually use Project E. So, let's move on. This is going to be in two parts. I'm just going to let you know right now, because there is actually a lot to this mod. It might even bleed over into 3. I don't want to have 1 hour-and-a-half tutorial. I'd rather divide it up into chunks. So this is going to be part 1, and we'll see how many follow up. The first thing that you're going to want to do when you get started with a mod pack that's got Project E is make this stuff called Covalence Dust. Covalence Dust is as far as I know, it's only a crafting ingredient. I don't think it has any other purpose other than crafting recipes, but it does that very, very well. Crafting recipes are, its use in crafting recipes are very, very... It's very, very useful, basically. First of all, you're going to get 1 piece of charcoal. That's not coal, it's charcoal. And then fill the rest of the crafting grid with cobblestone, and you'll get low covalence dust. 1 iron ingot and 1 redstone gets you medium covalence dust. You see where this is going. 1 diamond and 1 coal gets you high covalence dust. Every recipe produces 40 covalence dust. Very, very simple. Now, you'll notice something really quick once you start dealing with products from Equivalent Exchange. From Project E. Project E, everything has an EMC value. Energy Matter Currency, I think is what it used to stand for. I'm not sure it stands for anything anymore. I think it just stands for EMC. But basically, this is when you're converting something, and this is the whole thrust of the mod, is converting matter into an equivalent amount of energy, and then turning that energy into something of equivalent value, or building up to an equivalent value. So basically, because this recipe is made up of 8 pieces of cobblestone. Cobblestone only has an EMC of 1. And it has 1 piece of charcoal. Charcoal has an EMC of 32. Right? That means that this is 8 plus 32, which is 40. You get 40 pieces. That's why there's only an EMC of 1 per piece. That's how the math works. It is literally mathematics in how it works. Let's see. Iron, 256 plus 64 for 1 piece of redstone equals, basically, let's get 7, 8, you can see on a stack, 320 EMC right there. It's an easy way to figure it out. That's how many you're going to get. And each one has an EMC of 8 because that is 320 divided by 40. It's all mathematics. The high covalence dust actually each one has an EMC value of 208 because it is 1 piece of diamond, 8,192 EMC plus 1 coal, 128. Get those and add them together, divide them by 40, you get 208 per. So it's all literally mathematics. Literally. Mathematics is a very big part behind the scenes. Covalence dust is going to be just one of your most common ingredients. So, now that you've made some covalence dust, probably one of the first things you're going to be making, among the first things you're going to be making, is an alchemical chest. Now, an alchemical chest is... Let's put those back. It's a chest. It's a really big chest. That's it. It's not terribly fancy in and of itself. It does have some special functionality, though, in the way that it interacts with other parts of the actual mod, and we will get into that later. But you will be making the alchemical chest. This is actually one of each of the covalence dusts, low, medium, and high. You got 2 pieces of smooth stone, 2 iron ingots, a diamond, and an actual chest. Now, I think that this is cheaper than actual diamond chests, because if you look at a diamond chest, let's look at a diamond chest from, no, not chest plate, a diamond chest from Iron Chests, right? It's got an EMC value of 24,000. That is the cumulative value of everything that's in it. That is 2 diamonds and glass plus a gold chest, which is made out of 8 gold ingots and an iron chest, which is made out of 8 iron ingots and wood. You see how this goes, right? So this has a 24,000 EMC value, whereas this only has an 8,000 EMC value, cumulative value of all the parts. So this is technically a cheaper large chest, large inventory solution than diamond chests are. It's much cheaper. Let me think. If I get a stack of these, I think it's 26,000. It takes 3 of these to just barely cross over the EMC value of 1 diamond chest. So it's basically about 2 3/4 alchemical chests per diamond chest, which is absolutely a good deal. Once you make an alchemical chest, you're going to move on to make something. You're going to get one of them and convert them into an energy condenser. Basically, this is one of the key components, one of the key aspects of the entire mod. Energy condensers are one of the most controversial aspects. You'll get your alchemical chest in the middle, 4 diamonds, and then 4 pieces of obsidian. Get you an energy condenser. An energy condenser is quite interesting. Did I put that up there? Now, here's the thing. In Equivalent Exchange 2, there was the energy condenser, and that's where it stopped. In Project E, there is now the energy condenser Mark II. Now, it only has a very slight difference from its predecessor. It's an upgrade, basically, and you need to use the energy condenser Mark I plus some dark and red matter blocks. We'll get into what those are later, but yeah, we're going to cover just the basic energy condenser for right now. We'll get into the Mark II later. This is an energy condenser. It is going to be one of your most useful tools in many different ways for your existence of using Project E. It is very, very powerful in what it can actually do. You have this target slot and then a meter right here, okay? I have things. I'm going to get a gold block. And let's say that has an EMC value of 18,000. Well, let's say I want to get... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that back. I'm going to get one of my diamonds and some rubies. 1 diamond, put it in there. That is a ghost image. It's not the actual item. Rubies. Well, it's only so much of an actual diamond, you see? But if I get iron ingot and put it up there, 8 iron ingots for basically what was a ruby. Now, if I get... I'm going to put my original iron ingot back. Let's get a sapphire. All 8 iron ingots. Clear that out. Sapphire. We get 1 sapphire. This is basically how this works. You're getting the EMC value of something. You're basically getting something and converting it back down to that raw number. That's what that is right there. 2048 EMC to make a sapphire into a diamond. And a diamond requires 8,192. So you can see that you start thinking in mathematical numbers of how many of this does it take to... How many of this does it take to make that? And you start thinking in numbers like that. So, for instance, shovel. You don't get that much for a shovel. What if I actually get my peridot pickaxe? I'm going to take this out. Put that in there. Throw a diamond in there. I've got another peridot pickaxe. Just like that. Let's get a little crazy. I'm going to get my iron ingot. Actually, let's get really crazy. Block of gold. Right? That's got an 18,000 EMC. Well, I want to make some obsidian. I already had some stored in the system. And now it is going to be using all of that block to make as much obsidian as possible. That block of gold is going to keep making obsidian until it runs that EMC, almost like using the energy in a battery. So that's how much we have now. So I can take out a stack and go along my merry way. Let's say I need some more jungle saplings. That obsidian that is extra is going to be converted into EMC and then into jungle saplings. Now the jungle sapling only has an EMC value of 32. Obsidian has an EMC value of 64. So I'm going to get twice as many saplings. As you can see, it's still going. So most things from vanilla, I think everything from vanilla Minecraft has an EMC value. If you look right here, pistons have a combined EMC value because all their individual components have an EMC value, right? Wool has an EMC value. Powered rails, detector rails, dispensers. Now there's some things like decorative things like ferns or tall grass that don't because they are so minute that they can't have a measurable EMC. Flowers do. Mushrooms. Sticky pistons. Cobwebs. All this stuff. Even lava itself. An actual lava source block has EMC. Grass blocks, dirt. Podzol doesn't. I think that's an oversight. It will probably get added in the as Project E updates. Now here's one thing. You'll notice that gold ore does not. Iron ore does not. Coal ore doesn't. None of the ores actually have an EMC value. That's on purpose. If you actually look at gold ingot, though, it does have. Coal has an EMC value. Charcoal has an EMC value. Etc., etc. There's our jungle saplings. I'm going to take a stack of jungle saplings out. I'm going to blank that out. We can put this in here. There's the original. And I'm going to make a lot of cobblestone. This is one of the most interesting, I think, ways of making a cobblestone generator is turning other things into cobblestone. Because each sapling has a 32 EMC value. Cobblestone has 1, which means this is going to go 32 times farther than it was as jungle saplings, which means that probably this whole thing is going to fill up. And we're going to leave it there. I'm actually going to sacrifice my spare peridot pickaxe just to make it even more crazy. We can come back to that. This is the energy condenser, and this is one of the core mechanics. It shows you that fundamental behavior of EMC value. You can get something and make more of it based upon the EMC value of other things. This means that, like, okay, furnaces have an EMC value. Crafting tables, diamond blocks, ladders, rails, levers, redstone torches. Have you ever had a chest half full of wooden fences that you know you're not going to need for anything anymore, but you don't want to just burn them? Now you can turn them back into EMC and recover your goods. Now there's some things that don't have EMC, like glass panes don't, because The recipe for glass panes, it is 6 glass, which only have an EMC of 1 because it's smelted sand, and sand has an EMC of 1. 6 glass makes 16, which means this is a this is basically a decimal point number. It's like 0.0 something per glass pane. That's the problem. But there is a change coming in Project E that is going to give things fractional EMC values, which means glass panes could have an EMC value of 0.06 or whatever. So I think that's going to be really good. We're still making cobblestone. Yeah. Just a display glitch. Still going. So yeah, this is one of your really key fundamental aspects of, I'm going to leave that there, of the mod itself is the energy condenser, and it really does show you some of the key things. Now, I wanted to get into tools in the next one. There's going to be the Philosopher's Stone, some of the actual how to make dark matter and get started making dark matter tools. I'm going to cover that in the next part. This part, real quick, I wanted to cover, though, one of the things that is going to be what I consider to be one of the key early game features of Project E, even if you don't use the energy condenser. Even if you don't mess with covalence dust or some of the other things we're going to get into here in just a minute, you're going to want to make at least one of these. These are called divining rods. Divining rods are super useful. Basically, you get a stick and you surround it with covalence dust. That gives you the low divining rod. When you get your low divining rod, you surround it with medium covalence dust, you get a medium divining rod. Right like that. Say it goes from low to medium. Then you get your medium rod surrounded with high covalence dust, and it makes a high divining rod. Now, what's the difference? Okay, this is why I've got this thing behind us. This is got ore and stone hidden in it. All you see is a wall 3x3 of smooth stone. Well, if I right-click on this middle block, it'll say the average EMC value for 27 blocks is 48 EMC. Now, 27 blocks, if that's all stone, then that means that it would have 27 blocks that have an EMC value of 27. If it had an EMC value of higher than the number of blocks, that means there's something that's got a higher EMC value in there. And it goes in 3x3, just like this. Basically, it is going in and scanning. That's what's throwing the number off right there. There's something that is worth more than dirt or stone, because dirt is only an EMC value of 1. Smooth stone, cobblestone, EMC value of 1. So that is what's throwing off the numbers. Now, this only does 3x3. It's not adjustable. If we move on to the medium, we can change it from 3x3x3, basically a 3x3 block that goes 3 deep. We can change it to 16x3. Right-click, and you'll see something different. Average EMC for 144 blocks is 77. But there's something that has a maximum EMC value of 8,100. Now, we know already that's diamond. So it is telling us somewhere within this is a piece of diamond ore that is being hidden way back deep in there. Now, here's the thing. That's something else also. Redstone. If I go over here and right-click, it's going to say average EMC, or max EMC value is 64. It's that. 256, max EMC value. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Okay. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So basically, if we started breaking, whoops, somewhere into this, we're going to find, I think, anyway, so okay, that's what we're looking at right now. This is, let me put this back so I can restore our EMC column. Now, okay, that is the medium divining rod. And you notice it gives you a little bit more information. If you go to the high divining rod, it goes 3 by 3 by 3, 16 by 3 by 3, same as the medium, or 64. Right click, and this goes all the way out and tells you the maximum EMC, the highest EMC value something was found, is 16,384. That's emerald. The second highest is 8,000. And the third highest is 256, which is iron. So it is telling you, hey, 64 blocks along in this direction, I found emerald, I found diamonds, and I found iron. And if I want to, I can, dumb this down to 16 blocks. It still gives me more information. That's what the benefit of this high divining rod is. So even if you don't want to dig 64 blocks back, just set it to 16, and you still can mine much more targeted mining in early game. That's the beauty of the divining rods. That's why I love them. This means that you can find diamonds and emeralds a lot quicker. You can hone in on where those deposits of iron or redstone are. It is an amazing tool to use, and I really do love these things. So I definitely think that even if you shun the rest of Project D, this, and it's in your mod pack that you're using, these are still worth using. Stop here. Just grab these and don't make anything else. That's fine. They're really, really cool and extremely useful, the divining rods. So definitely, I'm going to leave that one on. Now we move on to the second controversial part. If the energy condenser makes people think twice about Project D, makes them think it's cheating or dubious, these will definitely give you pause for thought, okay? This is the energy collector and the antimatter relay. These are another set of core components. Basically, you want to get some glowstone, a furnace, a block of diamond, and a block of glass. That is going to make your first Mark I energy energy collector. As you make more collectors, see, this thing is a combined EMC value of 82,000. It has a max generation rate of 4 EMC per second, a maximum storage of 10,000 EMC. If you get this and use it in a recipe, you get the Mark I energy collector surrounded with glowstone and one piece of something called dark matter. We'll get to that in part 2. Then you get the Mark II energy collector. This does 12 EMC per second, 30,000 EMC maximum storage. And then the Mark III does 40 EMC per second. You see the EMC values on these, 82,000, 232,000, and then 710,000. So it goes up a lot. Basically, these get light and turn them into EMC for free. It is the Project E equivalent of a solar panel, essentially. But the thing is, it is turning energy, light energy, into actual matter, which means that if you combine these, you get, this is a Mark I energy collector. There's my Wayla right there, Mark I energy collector. We've got an energy condenser down here. I'm going to put a piece of stone in there. It's making stone for free. I have not put anything else in there. That's just sunlight making that stone. That's it. Now, here's the thing. Let's get all this stone. If I grab some extra components, let's get one of those, a little bit of glowstone. And I'm actually going to show you, I'll reset this whole thing. So there's no EMC in here. This is a fresh energy condenser that I put down. Now, instead of just one collector, I could do 3, like that. Okay? And it's pretty quick. I could, let's break these. I'm going to put a relay this time. 1, 2, 3. Let's put one back here. Okay, this is 3 collectors and a relay. Now, what the relay does is it gets the EMC from adjacent collectors that it's in contact with, and it transmits it down to something else. So it is getting the EMC that these collectors are making and acting as a relay point. But what it also does is it magnifies them. you'll notice that it says maximum output rate, and it's got a higher storage limit than the actual energy collectors do. But it has actually got, since it can only transfer a certain amount of EMC per second, that means if you put, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relays around, 5 energy collectors that are Mark III around a relay, the Mark III energy collectors will actually make more EMC than a Mark I can relay. So there's kind of bottlenecks, almost like power systems. And now this will make stone as fast as it can. If I want to switch this over to glowstone, I'm going to get make sure I got 1 stone left. This is now making glowstone for me. And it's making glowstone not only with this stone that I have excess, but also from solar power that is being relayed. These are using light, and I believe they need a light level of at least 15. So that's where the usefulness of glowstone comes in. You will end up doing things like this. Basically, this is a very small version of a power flower, is what they're often referred to as. This is turning the light from the glowstone, light level of 15, into energy in the the collector, relaying it through the relay into the condenser. Now, these can do a lot more than just turn sunlight into EMC. There's actually other uses that these things have. If you get one and set it down, I'm just going to put a piece of glowstone above it. And you see it's making EMC and storing it. It can hold up to 10,000. Let's get a piece of, where's the coal? Get a piece of coal. Turn that coal into another form of an energy, a fuel, gunpowder. Now, as soon as it actually gets enough power, it will make another jump. I'm actually going to get these. And, let's put all of this back and come borrow a Mark III. Now, the Mark IIIs, not only this is working off sunlight, but it's also its own light source. When you get up to a Mark III, it emits a light source, so it doesn't actually need glowstone above it. Most people don't realize that. So now it has actually transferred that redstone, blaze powder. It is going between different states of what EMC or what Project E considers fuel, and it's upgrading them to different fuel levels, block of coal, and it will keep doing this. Now, this is one way that you can actually go through making different things that count as fuel for EMC's different Project E's different devices. It's not just it's based off of basically higher levels of EMC and what it considers to be a reactive fuel, because in Project E, glowstone is a fuel, redstone is a fuel. You have this stuff called Mobius fuel, which actually burns like charcoal. You can use it in furnace engines, furnace generators and stuff like that for extra utilities. You can put this in a Stirling generator for Ender IO, and you get longer burn times, which means it generates more power than coal does. And all this is upgraded coal. You can make Mobius fuel if you want to by making alchemical coal. It's just coal and something called the Philosopher's Stone. Now, the Philosopher's Stone has a lot of uses, so we're going to get into the next part. But this is just one of the many, many uses that these can have. You can turn solar power into EMC for free, like this. Or you can actually use it for making fuel states. This is going to get upgraded in just a minute. I think to Aeternalis fuel, if I understand right. I'm a little fuzzy on it. That's almost maxed out. There, alchemical coal block, okay. Then it'll probably go to a Mobius fuel block, then an Aeternalis fuel. So anyway, we're going to leave that there and let it run. But the basic premise is there. You understand what I'm talking about. Actually, I'm going to put that right there. Energy collectors do have multiple purposes. Now, there's even more that we're going to get to in either Part 2 or Part 3, that these things work for battery charging, basically. And that's where things get even more strange, get even more you have to think more outside the box from normal Minecraft or more normal technical mods. EMC is almost like a currency and a power source and an energy type. It's multiple things in one. So you really have to think of it in multiple ways. You cannot just think of it as points that you're using. I'm going to convert this coal block into points and use those points to buy a diamond or whatever. You cannot just think of it that way, because technically it's also a power source. Those points are also a power source. Those points are also a kind of a fuel. They're also almost like a state of energy. So it's very strange. When we come back, we'll continue down this path and look at some of the actual equipment that you can make with Project D, and some of the other things that you will start getting to in mid-game. Probably what's going to end up happening in Part 3 is going to be a lot of the late-game, high-end, super powerful stuff. And we will get to that. But I just want to break this up in bite-sized chunks and let you think about each one and experiment about each one in turn. So keep your eyes peeled for Part 2 of Project D Mod Guide. Until then, this is Vaygrim signing off. Thank you very much for joining me. And thank you much for joining me on this starting off trip through Project D. I'm hoping you're learning something. And maybe you can leave a comment about something that I didn't cover on these things, or something that I forgot. Let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.